All right, I guess we're using this mic. My bad. I meant to use this other mic. What I was saying was, thank you for that. What I was saying was, I just wanted to take a moment to wish you all a happy holidays and Merry Christmas. I know it's the day past, but hey, um, happy early New Year if I don't see you, which I probably won't actually. I'm it's I want to start off as people sort of funnel in here in sort of reminding people to understand that people relax in different ways, right? People enjoy themselves in different ways, and everybody's different, man. Right now, I've been doing a lot of just getting shit done. Like, I'm going to be busy the next 3 to 6 months working on courses, working on a book, working on moving. That I'm filming a lot of videos. I'm creating everything you see on that whiteboard in the background are video ideas that I'm crossing off a list as have been working for 2 days to do the next 3 months of content, right? And make sure that I can do that. So a lot of fun stuff, and that's actually really de-stressed me because I have been stressing about not putting out the content I want into the world, and um, you know, I'm on vacation, holiday break, I should say. I'm not on vacation, staycation. I think that's what the kids call it nowadays. I'm on staycation. Feeling pretty good, man. Um, I yeah, it's been nice. Um, did some Christmas dinners, did some this, did some that, and I have another 5 days off or so. I have until the second. I go back to work. I have a week. I got another week off. I've been off for 2 days, 3 days now. It's been fantastic, and it's nice to be able to be able to enjoy myself and what I want to enjoy and get ahead. Like sometimes people may think like, "Oh man, you're on vacation. Why are you working?" I'm working on my vacation so that I don't have to work on the days I work and I can focus on these other things. Um, so it's nice. I do a lot of thinking. Like one thing that I think one of the biggest benefits to having time off from work is it gets you out of your weekly, bi-weekly sort of lifestyle where now you have time to focus on other things. Now you have time to evaluate, which is why I think it's so important to evaluate things, come New Year's, come whatever. So I hope you're evaluating, when you get on vacation and appreciation as well, right? Um, so many YouTubers, so many people always like to hate on the corporate jobs, and I'll be the first one to tell you to always have a side hustle because you can't trust anybody in life except yourself and maybe your loved ones. Um, but we can appreciate that from Tuesday to the following Thursday, I'm getting paid and I'm not working, and I appreciate that. That is nice. You know, when I was delivering pizzas, no time off. Oh, PTO. No, none of that. This isn't even PTO. This is just go enjoy yourself, recover, relax. We want you refreshed when you come in. I respect that. I like that. That's some shit that keeps me around. It's a nice little thing going on here. So, but Merry Christmas and shout out to some of our coding gods out there that you don't have the stressful dev problem anymore. But um, it's been a nice little break. But this isn't about me. This ain't about me. We got my boy Casey in the house. This is this is about you. That's why I do this. I want to provide mentoring for you and how you can go about, what value I can provide for you. Um, Representing. Yeah. Um, I think we have 3 or 4 people that have signed up for the what do you call that stuff? The subscribing? No, it's subscribing. The joining. I don't know. I forget what YouTube calls them, but it's appreciated, man. Um, I've ramped up some content. I got a lot of. You guys want to hear what content's coming up? I talk about RxJS. I got LinkedIn quizzes. Um, I have a. Apparently, we missed 3 podcasts in coming on the channel. Those have 2 of them come out. A third one's coming out. I talk about my 5-year plan. How Derek Bonus changed my life. Um, if I was going back to school as a senior software engineer, so as self-taught senior software engineer, what I would go back to school for and why. How I spend bonuses, which is kind of a funny video because I don't know if I talked about last live stream, but I bought April and I 2 $5 scratchers, and we won $10,000. We won 10 grand on a $5 scratcher that I just bought. So every once in a while, like we go on road trips, I'll spend $5 on a scratcher, and I was like, oh, this will be fun. We'll get 2 $5 scratch. I bought them like 3 weeks ago and scratched them on Christmas Eve. 10K. Yeah, so that was fucking dope. That was a Christmas miracle. Um, we do one about standing desks, and I have a couple other ideas I'm working on, man. But yeah, the podcast, dude, I love the podcast. The only issue that we have with the podcast, so we just officially finished the 24 episodes, and did I already do a video discussing what I want to accomplish next year? Yes, like 3 weeks ago. It's on the channel. Um, but I think I call it like 2020 goals. Um, but so oh yeah, the podcast. So season we want to do a season 2. The issue is we need a sponsor, man. It costs us money to keep these out every month. And can we afford it? Of course we can. We can afford a lot of stupid shit. But it's always nice to have a sponsor and get something financially out of it. And we launched season 1 with the intent of like, okay, maybe we're not gonna have a sponsor right away, but maybe we can get a sponsor down the road. And right now we're looking for sponsors for season 2, and that's the only thing holding up. We want a sponsor. It doesn't have to be a lot of money. From there, did you ever sit down and actually learn data structures? The way that I went about it was I didn't learn traditional data structures. Like, oh hey, I want to learn binary. I want to go back and review binary search. I want to go back and do this and that. Um, I just went to like sites like HackerRank and really CodeFight's not Code Signal, and I did like 200 of them. I just got better at problem solving, so I never learned traditional data structures and algorithms. Um, so what I would say, Casey, is at some point in my career, I will go and make the leap to go work at Google and Microsoft because I've had interviews with both, and I got the furthest in Microsoft to the final stage, and um, God, that was an exhausting interview. It was like 9 hours, but it's all algorithms, and they all are. So at some point in my career, I'll go and I'll just sit down and I'll spend about 3 to 6 months. You see, I have the book back there, Cracking the Coding Interview. It's that green book in the background. Doing that, doing a couple courses, and you know, we'll see. But in fairness, I had a year and like a half experience when I interviewed with Microsoft, maybe less. So like I can't. I'm not too upset it didn't work out because it was like it was I tried. It was but we can try again. Are there pure backend jobs with Node? Yeah, there's a ton of jobs in Node. Node has been exploding, man. Um, that's one thing I need to work in more. I've been working in the front end so long. Um, It'd be nice to, you know. Is a resume filled with job hopping after a year looked down on when applying for jobs? I wouldn't say it's looked down upon. I would say you should be able to you should be able to speak to should be able to speak to you why, you know, I and answer questions as to why. I think it's sort of understood. So here's the thing: the average developer stays at a job 18 months. So like you leaving at a year isn't that big of a deal to me because in 6 months you would have stayed the average. Um, you just got to be able to speak to it. You know, if it's because you left because you felt like you learned everything there and there's better opportunities elsewhere. That's fair to say. If you left because you got in a fist fight with a coworker, you probably shouldn't say that and rephrase it somewhere else. You just have to be able to speak intelligently to it. I think that's the point I'm trying to make. As I've had to do. I've had to do it numerous times. What if the answer is more money? Well, I mean, I think the way I have phrased it is that I saw newer technologies and better benefits. So when it comes to money, I'm not ashamed to say, well, there's a better opportunity. That's how I would phrase it. And they say, well, what do you mean, like financially? I say, yes. Financially, it made a lot of sense to continue to go there, and I felt I would grow as well. And I'm not ashamed of that because by me making money it allows me to take care of my family, pay for retirement, help my brother and mother out, and things like that, and plan for my future. So there's no shame in that. Um, you just have to be able to explain that. So, dude, people do not like that. I'm looking at some comments over here for video ideas. People really do not like that I wasn't a fan of WGU. Should you leave the education section off your resume if you didn't go to college? I do. Um, I put certificates on there. I put projects on there. Nowadays, I put resume experience, but there's no education. What does my high school diploma do for me? Nothing. That's the answer. Nothing. Yeah, I'm telling you, man. People like I'm just sort of scrolling through, and a lot of it, most people are really nice. A lot of people are just commenting on the podcast and stuff. But every time a WGU one comes up, people are telling me I'm a piece of shit. Like that's basically their comment. And it's like, jeez, man. They feel like you didn't give enough time. They can say what they want, man. I spent 2 or 3 months. I did 3 courses. I completed 3 courses. Whatever. I assure you that I knew exactly what that program was going to be. Opinion about C sharp. So, if you're gonna learn C sharp, you obviously have to learn .NET, and I think that's a great way of going. It's definitely on the incline. It pays very high, and I would, it's definitely something I've worked with a little bit in the past. I tend to like it. My only real criticism is how tied .NET Core is to it. Now, here's the idea: you're never locked into anything. You can always escape if you put the time, effort, and energy into it. Several people I knew went through their computer science curriculum and it was bad, but they felt it was worth it just to have the degree on their resume. Yeah, and I sort of said that in my review, and people were saying that, like, I understand that point of view, but for me, it's not worth it. And they were upset that I just wasn't happy with getting just a degree that provided no value. And somehow that makes me a horrible person to say, hey, you know what? I know this is bad, and so it's not going to work for me, but I understand other people will know it's bad, but they'll want to get that degree anyhow. And because I don't want a bad degree, that makes me bad. I don't know. I don't get why the hate. But I don't know. To each their own, man. You can't. Here's the thing: you can't make everybody happy, man. That's the truth of the matter. You can't make everyone happy. Yeah, and I talk about this in a video that's going to come out, but we can talk about it now. Um, I wouldn't even go back for a computer science degree. Focus as because I think about it now. Nowadays, I'm in a position where the firm that I work for will pay for my degree, a good portion of it. Might cost $2,000 out of pocket every year, but a good portion of it will be paid for. So I think about it more in that sense because the financial aspect, I can afford it now, but they're going to pay for 3/4 of it, let's say. So I think about it on occasion, and what I would say is that I wouldn't go back for computer science because I don't need I don't need a computer science degree to do my current job. And what I want is a degree that's going to what I want to is a degree that is going to help me get my next role, which would be a tech lead or a manager role. And so the degree I would go back for, if I did go back, is probably a management or business related one. So something like management information systems, where essentially it's management in information technology rather, or maybe a financial thing. Because once you sort of get up into the management role, you're dealing with a lot more financial aspects. That would be what I would go back for because that would be where the next tier of job is for me. When you go and become you know, a director or something of that nature. That would be where I would go. That's what I would go back for, because the computer science degree is for the role I'm currently in. Like, I'm already a senior software engineer. I have years of experience. I'll continue to get better, and I put the time in. But like, it wouldn't necessarily help me for the future role. So, um, yeah, people are still upset about that video. I think you mean how is April doing with her coding boot camp? It's not Rachel. She's doing good. So she's wrapping up around 4 months. She's actually on holiday break right now, but when she goes back, she's going to start applying for roles. Um, do you ever think you'll live in Florida indefinitely? Where else would you consider moving? So there are plans for us to move within the next 6 months. I um I recently brought it up with some of my bosses, and I've talked to them in the past, but I like literally as soon as 2 weeks ago I brought it up, so I feel like I can talk about it on the stream. But I essentially brought up, said, hey, I'm about 6 months out from wanting to relocate to the Midwest, so chances are where we'll be relocating is either Salt Lake City or Denver, Colorado. That's probably Salt Lake City, Utah, is the first choice. I think that will be where we end up, but we'll find out probably in the next month or so as we sort of get that down. What do you need to know to have a solid foundation in programming? The fundamentals. I mean, you need to understand control flow, data types, access modifiers, functional programming, object oriented programming. Is there a reason I want to move to the Midwest? Yes. So I have a video that talks about this. This is my 5-year plan, and we just sort of hit our 5-year mark with our goals. Our goal, and it's in about 4 years, which is kind of cool. um, so in the next 5 years, we want to be closer to family. We want to, so anyhow, we want to be closer to family. My family's all on the West Coast. I know absolutely nobody, uh, family wise, on the East Coast. I don't even really know anybody in the Midwest. But they're all sort of, they're in California, Nevada, um, Idaho, Oregon, around there. So we want to get a little bit closer, but not too close. And we've all our lives we've wanted to live in a cooler climate, a snowy climate. You know, um, I've done hot and dry the majority of my life in California, and now I've done hot and humid, and we're ready to move somewhere that we want to live. We came to Florida with a game plan of 5 years. We've been here almost 4, and now we're pulling the escape hatch. We accomplished our goal. My goal was to get resume experience, save $100,000, and become a senior dev and buy a house. Those are my 4 main goals in 5 years. We did them in 4, and now um, we're looking to move on to the next stage of our life. Where we want to be closer to family. We want to start our own family. We want to lay down roots that like we're not going to leave, and so that's the next phase of our life, and so that's why the Midwest. What language should I recommend a beginner start with? JavaScript. JavaScript's easy to get going. It's very beginner friendly. I think it's a fantastic language. Do you ever think you create your own software company, something like Indie Hackers app? No, I imagine I'll continue to create little projects here or there, but I don't have any plans to. Do I stop my Python course to keep going? Just keep going, man. Python's great. Also, Python's very beginner friendly as well. If I was charging an interview process, how would you interview a candidate? So, um, couple things. I would, first off, I would let me write this down because I keep on wanting to do. We need to hire more junior devs video. All right. The first thing I would do is I change the mandate that we have to have nothing but senior developers. So many organizations want nothing but senior devs. And the truth of the matter is there's a lot of good junior devs that do much better than senior devs, and it's unfortunate. So that'd be the first thing I would change. I'd go to them and be like, I want a junior dev. I don't want your senior devs. We'll get a lot more juniors relatively quick, so that'd be something I do. Hi Neon Tuts. Second thing is I would have a very simple conversation, about a 30-minute technical conversation, 30-minute to an hour technical conversation, where probably this is what I do. I do a 30-minute conversation, phone call, 30-minute like technical phone call. Hey, let me. These are the core concepts, core fundamentals. I'm going to talk to you about that. That would be what I would talk to them about. Now, once that happens, the next stage, it'd be a multi-stage one, right? HR does their talk, whatever, to see if they're normal. And then I make the mandate that we're doing more with juniors. We're accepting juniors as well, I should say. 30-minute technical phone call with one of the developers. It doesn't have to be a tech lead. So 30-minute phone call, I'm asking about fundamentals. If you're at the front end role, we're going to talk to you about HTML, CSS, JavaScript. I don't give a shit if you know React. I'll probably ask you about testing. All right, after that, you come in. I want to see you face to face, mono to mono, to the death. No, not to the death, but we at that point we might dive a little bit deeper in some of these technical questions, but it's an hour interview. Maybe about 15 minutes of it is 15 minutes of it is a little bit technical. About 15 minutes of it is cultural, and then the last half of it is, and I say cultural in the sense of I don't care if you fit the culture, because I think like companies like they're not right for our culture. I think that's a nice way of just discriminating against people you don't want to hire. So like when I say cultural, I mean I want to get a feel for who they are and make sure that they are not crazy. Like like I want to work with people who can provide feedback, and I want to work with people who can bring something unique to an organization or a team, and I want to work with people who can take feedback. And so be asking these general business questions, not cultural questions like, so why are you leaving your job? Like or like, why don't you have a job? Like like just to see how they respond to it, and see what the case is. And things like well, why do you want to work here? Like do you have any questions for us? Like those sorts of questions. And the last 30 minutes would be basic questions, algorithms, something, and not like here's this double two-dimensional array, solve things. Fizzbuzz type problems where I say, hey, I want you taking a number and then starting at 0. For every number evenly divisible by 3, print fizz. For every number evenly divisible by 5, print buzz. And every number evenly divisible by both of those numbers, print fizz buzz. I'd give them 2 problems like that. If they couldn't solve that, they're out. I don't care how great their I don't care if they came from Google. Gutted. All right. All right. These are problems that are just going to see that if you can do basic problem solving. That's all. At that point, the last thing I would do is I would send them a take-home challenge. And this is where you're going to lose some people, because I don't want to do take-home challenge. There's like 3 companies in the world nowadays I would do take-home challenge for. And depending on the individual, that last step is only if we're on the fence. Like there's been times where I've interviewed candidates and I'm like, why are we even going to the next stage? We know we're going to hire this guy or this girl. They're a genius. They're good. Like this is the person we're looking for. Just make them an offer so we don't lose them. Like there's at this point we're just go through the process. And that would be something I would change about the process is that our process can be unique for individuals. There's no reason that we have to just go through a process to go through the process. Um, if we can terminate the process, we can accelerate it as well. But for the ones that were a little bit more on the junior side and we're not maybe completely sure if they're there, because again, we're opening juniors up into the equation. We're giving some sort of take-home project, something that is very relevant to the role, something that is 4 hours or less, ideally 1 hour, but something to get an idea of how you code. That's really it at the end of the day. That's what I would do. Should entry level dev focus on learning AWS or Docker? No, I wouldn't focus on it. Yeah, no problem, Steven. Um, Why do I think some seniors are worse than juniors? Juniors typically, well, first off, it's on an individual basis. That's what you have to understand. Just because you have more years of experience doesn't mean you're a better developer. It just means you have more years of experience. There's plenty of devs that haven't done shit for 5 years compared to a dev who has 1 year of experience that has been grinding their ass off for 3 years to get that 1 year experience and are still hungry and want to continue to grow. And there's plenty of senior devs who have done that for 5 years and are exceptional. But there is a so my stance is this is like 7 out of 10 devs kind of suck. And it's probably closer to 9 out of 10. Um, and at least when you hire a junior, they know that they have stuff to learn and they're willing to learn it, and you can set them on the right path. Um, when when you're a senior developer and you're trying to work with when you're trying to work with other senior developers, you have to understand they're your peers. And your juniors are your peers as well, but you can provide some direction. There's a little bit of an understanding that, like, oh, hey, maybe this guy or girl knows what they're talking about. And there's plenty of I know the point I'm trying to make is that years of experience does not necessarily translate to quality engineer. How do you handle fatigue after 3 hours of coding? I feel like falling asleep. If you do 3 hours a day every day, you're doing pretty well. Um, but I mean, the truth of the matter is just exercise, diet, and good amounts of sleep help with everything when it comes to fatigue. I mean, the bad way of going about it um, is the caffeine route. So, um, would getting a QA testing certification be beneficial even though I'm a professional developer? Yes and no. So I mean, it will always be beneficial. So what I would say is being familiar with testing period is what's most beneficial. And so if your QA certification introduces you things to like unit testing, end-to-end testing, some frameworks that they use and libraries that are used for that, I think that's what's most beneficial. But yeah, I think it will. Have been a shitty developer for a couple of years, been grinding hard now for the last 3 months. Good on you, man. Am I still in touch with Matt from Engineer Truth? Yeah, man. I was talking with him today briefly. Said Merry Christmas. Matt and I have been boys for over 20 years. So, um, Matt and I are lifelong friends. Like, no joke. Um, yeah, we talk on a pretty frequent basis. There's probably I'd say once a month, once every 2 months, we hop on a phone call, catch up, have an hour conversation, 2 hour conversation, shoot the shit. But we're shooting each other messages and texting every every now and again. After getting a developer salary, how have you been able to help your family? That's my main goal for getting in CS. Well, for one, my family doesn't have to provide for me in any way, shape, or form, right? And there's a level of relief I think my family probably feels, specifically my mother and father, knowing that I'm doing well, right? Their son went from having them bring them groceries and delivering pizzas to having money in the bank, owning a home, and have making six figures, right? So there's a level of something that they are relieved. The other thing is that I'm taking care of my significant other. April's doing a coding boot camp right now, and not and she prepped for the coding boot camp, and she didn't work for a couple months before that prepping for it, and she's doing a coding boot camp full time without working because I can afford it. It's not a problem. We cool. Go better yourself. Break into a in demand field, a career. Go do that. I love for you to. I can make that happen. That's fine. Um, there's been family members who racked up credit card debt that um, I offered to give them a loan of about $10,000 to pay that back. That they pay back, but that way they could pay me back over a year and a half, about $500 a month, and that way you're not paying $150 a month in interest. That's another example. But those are the main things that come to mind. And planning for the future, right? So like I save about 40% of my income, and I count that as additional money I pay towards my mortgage. So that additional principal, the 401k investments, all that sort of stuff, I count as saving about 40 to 50% of my income. But all that is just planning for the future to make sure I can continue to do these things. So, and let me make this very clear. And this isn't like a sexist thing, but the little I know about relationships is that on both sides, but I definitely think when you are the male part of the relationship, at least from my perspective, that security is a very important thing to your significant, your girlfriend, your future wife, your fiance, whatever it is, and them feeling secure that if bad things happen, we're going to be prepared for them is one of the most important things that you can do to relax them. So that is something that it has provided for me as well. If you could go back in time and learn something different about the way you learned to code, what would that be? I'd buy like $10 courses. So when I was learning to code, I didn't spend any money on courses. Were you grinding way more before you got your first job? I was grinding way more up until about my third job. Right around the time I got my third job, I stopped grinding with the same intensity. How do I push myself to work on real projects? The way that I sort of suggest is figure out a way to monetize a project relatively early on, and then when you start making money from it, it's pretty easy to work on it. It doesn't even have to be a lot of money. It'd be like $50 a month. You'll be like, dude, I bet I can make this $100. That has always worked really, um, well for me. Any helpful forums where you won't get booted off Stack Overflow? Dude, don't think you're the only one, man. I've had 2 accounts that have been banned on Stack Overflow for asking questions when I was just trying to get help. Um, if I started today and live in a major city like New York City, would start with Angular React. I'd probably do React. React seems to be quite hot right now. Pragmatic programmer. Let's see here. Huh? I haven't read this book. Maybe I'll add it to the list. I'm I'm currently working through Code Complete right now, so I'll take a look at that. Although the next few books I want to read, um, so I think I've learned everything that in terms of like basic design principles and um, good code organization and best practices. I want to dive deeper into 2 things next: design patterns and what do you call it? Algorithms, data structures. Those are the 2 things I'm diving into next. And but like stuff that's only focused on design patterns. So that's going to be something I'll be diving into a little bit more. But as far as good books go, Clean Code, The Clean Coder, um, are 2 books I recommend for everyone. Clean Architecture. There's links in the description below. You can help me out. But it sounds like it's probably a very similar book to the Pragmatic. You know what's funny, man? You know they're frequently bought together. The Pragmatic Programmer, Clean Code, and Code Complete. Literally, it's what it says right. Dude, I've bought the other 2. Um, it's funny. Yeah, look at man, no shame in trying to work with databases. What do you do when you have to learn new technologies now compared to when you started? So, um, nowadays what I do is I'll watch a YouTube video, like a general introduction, like a crash course type of thing, and then I'll go and I'll do a 20-hour Udemy course, and I'll build something, and then I'll work on it. That's usually what I've done. Haven't done any freelance work in the past, a little bit, not too much. I work in Node for the back end. Node Express, Nest, MongoDB, all that jazz. Any SQL? No. Have I tried Laravel or Lumen? I have not. I tend to try to stay away from PHP, so I won't be trying Laravel anytime soon. Am I familiar with Lambda School? Yes. What are my thoughts? Um, I am. I like the income sharing agreement. My girlfriend's actually doing the Lambda School boot camp as well for web dev. How to stand out in the dev market as a recent college grad? Definitely want to start before you graduate. Certifications, projects, working in technologies that you're not going to learn in school that are going to be relevant to the workplace. Having something to show that you already are familiar with those. Any tips on how to retain what you learned? Build something. A lot of times people are like, oh, what I learned was I watched a video for 2 hours and now I know it. Not really. Um, Same thing with reading these books is you read it to get a very high level understanding, and then you really um, get it ingrained into the way that you do things once you find use cases in your code of how to benefit from it. Okay, guys, I'm getting a little tired. It's a little late over here. It's a little past my bedtime. I had some free time, and I couldn't work on videos anymore. So, with that all being said, I appreciate y'all. If you're interested in any of my courses, there are links in the description below. Some of the books I mentioned are there as well. Thank you for somebody who recommended the Pragmatic program. I'm gonna take a look at that. About halfway through this, just a smooth 400 pages to go, and I'll finish that up by the end of the next 2 weeks. Happy holidays, and it's not even night, dude. I'm in bed by 8 on a normal weekday. I'm in bed by 8, and I get up at like 6:30 every day. I'm not asleep by 8, but I get ready for bed. Sometimes I'm in bed by 9, but this is like bedtime. You know what I mean? This is like night time. Got to get in bed with my bae and be like, "Hey, bae, you trying to get this?" She's the no. Go your ass to sleep, John. Uh, but um, but yeah. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We're on that road to 100,000. Um, we're trying to get that silver play button on the channel. So I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.